Emma Williams was crowned homecoming queen in front of her cheering classmates, her face lit with pure joy, as if she were carrying the stars on her shoulders. This was the crowning moment of her high school life, and her excitement was palpable. But right as she received the crown, Emma felt something stir in her heart. She glanced across the stage and saw Chloe, the other girl who had been in the running for homecoming queen, standing with a soft smile, her eyes bright but carrying a weight no one else could see. Chloe's mother had passed away just a few weeks before, a devastating blow that left her grappling to find strength for the homecoming event, a day her mother had so eagerly anticipated attending with her. Chloe had promised her mom she'd make it to this night, not for herself but as a tribute to her mother's memory, and she'd planned to have her dad accompany her in her mom's place. Emma took a deep breath, made her decision, and in a moment of quiet bravery, removed the crown from her head. The crowd fell silent, confused. Walking over to Chloe, Emma held her gaze, then carefully placed the crown on her friend's head. The air thickened with emotion as Emma whispered to Chloe, "Your mom would have wanted to see you wear this crown. Tonight, you're her queen." The gym fell into stunned silence, and then, as realization dawned, tears shimmered in the eyes of the onlookers. Chloe's father, unable to contain his emotions, covered his face and wept. Chloe embraced Emma tightly, the weight of her mother's absence momentarily lifted by Emma's extraordinary gesture. In that gym, people weren't just watching a coronation. They were witnessing the power of empathy, kindness, and deep human connection. 2 years passed, and Emma and Chloe had gone their separate ways, each following their own paths. When they met again at a high school reunion, everyone was stunned by the transformation in Chloe. She was radiant, exuding confidence and a calm inner strength that seemed unshakable. Chloe, inspired by Emma's kindness, had channeled her grief into something beautiful. She'd become an advocate for families affected by cancer, honoring her mother's memory by supporting others going through similar journeys. As they hugged again, now as young women, Chloe thanked Emma once more for that unforgettable night, saying, "That night you gave me more than a crown. You gave me the strength to carry on." Emma realized that her act of kindness had created ripples far beyond a single night. In giving up her crown, she had crowned a friend's spirit with courage, resilience, and purpose, and that legacy was a victory greater than any title. Emma and Chloe stayed close after the reunion, their bond stronger than ever. Inspired by Chloe's story and newfound passion, Emma found herself wanting to make a difference too. She had never forgotten that moment on the stage, the way a small, selfless act could touch hearts and even change lives. Together, they decided to channel their experiences and start a foundation in Chloe's mother's memory. The foundation, named the Crown of Courage, aimed to provide emotional and financial support to young people who had lost loved ones to cancer. They set out on a mission to help others find strength, resilience, and hope in the face of loss, just as Chloe had. Their foundation began with small events, charity runs, school assemblies, and social media campaigns. But it quickly grew, catching the attention of others who were moved by their story. People across the community rallied behind them, and soon the Crown of Courage was providing scholarships, counseling, and community events for families affected by cancer. One evening, Chloe was invited to speak at a large fundraising gala for the foundation. Emma watched proudly from the crowd as Chloe, poised and confident, took the stage and shared her story. She spoke about the power of kindness, about how Emma's act of compassion had changed her life, and about how each of us has the ability to be a crown of courage for someone else. As Chloe spoke, Emma noticed something special. Among the crowd were dozens of young people wearing small silver crowns, a new symbol adopted by the foundation to represent courage, compassion, and hope. Emma realized that what had started as one heartfelt gesture had transformed into a movement, creating a legacy that honored Chloe's mother and inspired countless others to lift one another up. By the end of the night, they had raised enough funds to launch new programs, expanding the Crown of Courage into more schools and communities. Emma and Chloe embraced, knowing that their journey, once filled with sadness and loss, had now blossomed into a lifelong mission of kindness and resilience. Over time, Emma and Chloe continued to grow the foundation, speaking at conferences, hosting support groups, and building a network of compassion that reached across the country. The friendship that began with a crown had become a beacon of hope for so many others, reminding them that in moments of darkness, a simple act of selflessness can be the light that guides them forward. Years passed, and the crown of courage grew beyond anything Emma and Chloe had ever imagined. They were no longer just two young women with a vision. They were the heart of a nationwide movement dedicated to spreading hope and healing. As they traveled to cities and towns across the country, sharing their story and inspiring others, they began to notice something magical happening. People from all walks of life were embracing the idea that kindness and compassion were the true crowns we could all wear. Schools started crown clubs where students gathered to support classmates facing tough times, whether it was through small acts of kindness, fundraising for local families affected by illness, or simply being a shoulder to lean on. One day, they received an invitation that took them by surprise. A prestigious international organization reached out, nominating the Crown of Courage for a humanitarian award. Emma and Chloe were flown to a grand ceremony, where they stood on stage, surrounded by a hall filled with changemakers and leaders from around the world. As they accepted the award, Chloe spoke about her mother's memory, the friends who had supported her, and the enduring power of one selfless act to ignite an unstoppable wave of compassion. Emma followed, her voice filled with gratitude, saying, "We began this journey because of a crown I wore for only a moment, but carried with me forever. I realized that we don't need royal titles or golden crowns to make a difference. All we need is the courage to reach out and lift someone else up." By the end of her speech, there wasn't a dry eye in the room. But the most memorable part of the evening happened afterward, when a young girl approached them, clutching a small, hand-drawn picture of a crown. She shared her own story of loss, explaining how the crown of courage had given her strength to find hope and pursue her dreams, despite the heartache she'd experienced. Emma and Chloe knelt down, looking the girl in the eye, and handed her a miniature crown pin, a new tradition they had started to honor those who embodied the foundation's values. They assured her that she, too, was part of their growing family of courageous hearts. As the years rolled on, Emma and Chloe continued their mission, adding new programs, creating mentorship initiatives, and eventually establishing the Crown of Courage centers across the country. These centers became safe spaces for young people to connect, heal, and find guidance as they navigated their own journeys through loss, struggle, and resilience. Emma and Chloe often returned to their hometown, visiting the high school gym where it all began. Standing in the very place where Emma had taken off her crown and placed it on Chloe's head, they would look at each other, both feeling the same mix of awe and gratitude. They knew that this was where their story started, but that its impact had rippled far beyond what either of them could have ever dreamed. Eventually, the Crown of Courage became a global symbol, a reminder that in a world so often focused on competition, status, and titles, true queens and kings are those who lift others up, who share their crowns, and who turn their own moments of struggle into a legacy of compassion for others. Emma and Chloe knew that they had not only honored Chloe's mother's memory, but had created a living legacy of love and resilience that would continue to touch lives for generations to come. And as they looked out over the world they had helped change, they realized that this was the true crown they had always been meant to wear. Years later, the Crown of Courage had not only grown into a renowned foundation, but had also sparked a global movement. Emma and Chloe were now household names, celebrated for their advocacy and for building a community where empathy and kindness thrived. But they never lost sight of the simple moment that had started it all: a high school stage, a crown, and a choice to put someone else's heart first. Their foundation had transformed the lives of countless young people, and every year, they hosted a special event called the Night of Courage, an annual gala where families and friends came together to celebrate stories of resilience and hope. Young people who had been impacted by the foundation shared their journeys, often revealing how the Crown of Courage had been a lifeline during their darkest hours. The event became one of the most anticipated nights of the year, filled with laughter, tears, and the unwavering sense that no one in the room was ever truly alone. On the 10th anniversary of the Crown of Courage, Emma and Chloe decided to do something extraordinary. They gathered the alumni of the foundation, the young people who had gone through the programs, attended the events, and become part of the foundation's extended family. To Emma and Chloe's surprise, many of these young people had created their own initiatives, mental health clubs, grief counseling programs, and volunteer networks. They called themselves the Crown Keepers and were eager to continue the legacy that had begun with Emma's single act of kindness. Emma and Chloe knew then that their mission was complete. They had built something enduring, a legacy of compassion that was being passed down one Crown Keeper at a time. On that anniversary night, they handed over the leadership of the foundation to a group of young alumni who had once been beneficiaries of the Crown of Courage themselves. Watching from the audience, Emma and Chloe felt an overwhelming pride, knowing the foundation was in good hands. After the ceremony, the two friends quietly slipped out of the bustling event, retreating to the place where their journey had started, their old high school. They wandered through the familiar hallways, memories flooding back. Standing in the gymnasium, they noticed that something was different. Above the entrance, the school had installed a plaque that read, "Home of the Crown of Courage." Moved beyond words, Emma and Chloe exchanged smiles, knowing that their legacy would forever be a part of the school that had brought them together. As they stepped back out into the night, Emma turned to Chloe, eyes shining. "Do you think we did enough?" Chloe smiled, taking her friend's hand. "More than enough. We gave the world a crown no one can take off." And with that, they left the school, not as the two girls who'd once stood on that homecoming stage, but as women who had transformed a single moment of kindness into a lifetime of impact, a reminder to everyone that sometimes the most precious crowns we wear are the ones we give away.